You see the whole board?
Yes, like you're on TV.
Right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Somers Town Board work session for Thursday, April 7th, 2022. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With
justice
justice for all.
Okay. All right, let's first, let's go to public hearing. I'd like to make a motion to open up public comment. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Anybody here for public comment? Great.
A lucky fan.
The line starts right there.
If you could just state your name for us.
Can you hear me?
and
Can you hear me? Can
address.
you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got a mousy voice. I'm Joanne Jantos, 3 Summit Circle, Somers.
Hi, Joanne.
Hello. I was here about a month, 6 weeks ago, whenever, I actually don't remember the date, complaining at that point about the use of the community room at the Somers Library. So I'm back because there has been some development. The room is now available. So that's the good news. The bad news is there's a big but. And the but is that we did speak with Jennifer. We did talk with everyone to figure out how we could make this happen. I'm a member of a bunch of organizations and we do use the room. I'm also a member of a lot of us who feel that this community room is ours. We built this library. We worked hard to get it done. It was not an easy feat. And one of the perks was that we had this community room. It would be available to us. It would be available to the members, to the residents. It would be available to organizations. As you know, there's very little meeting room for any of our organizations in town. So this was a big perk to get this library built. It's referred to as the program room. And it seems to me that maybe the current librarian and the board seem to think it's theirs. It's not. It's still ours. So we do have some meetings that have been scheduled, but there are new rules. The rules now are that you can only use the room for 30 people, no more than 30. So specifically, we asked Jennifer, well, what if we're 31? What if we're 32? What if we're 33? Absolutely can't happen. There will be no exceptions because if they allow exceptions to one group, they'd have to allow exceptions to the other groups.
What was the reason? I'm just curious. Was it
Well,
a
we're
vote?
getting to that.
All right. Sorry.
So when I heard this whole conversation, I'm the tax accountant here. Give me the facts, give me the laws, and I'll work from there. So it's like, I wonder what the occupancy is for that room. Is there an issue with that? I mean, we've heard all the excuses, the leak, the heat wasn't working, the HVAC wasn't working. Oh, we're still COVID. We've heard it all. So now it's like, what is the problem? Okay. So basic information can be found on the Somers Library site. The occupancy for that room is 70. So I'm here complaining. Why is it that we're under these very rigid restrictions? Because there are to be no exceptions, no more than 30 people. A little arbitrary, a little capricious, we are not happy. And I don't know where else to turn. We came to you before and you said we needed to speak with her. We needed to do this. We've done this. And now we're sitting in a situation where her response was, well, if you're 31, then what you need to do is before you have a meeting, you need to send an invite to everyone you expect to come, all your members or whatever. And after you have 30 people who are responding, you need to now do a Zoom. Probably
So back to the question that I started to ask was, so there's no rationale for the 30 that you were
I have
given?
not been able to get a rationale, and that's why I'm here.
I mean, did you ask at any point, did you ask just why 30? Because in the past, we've had more than 30, just out of curiosity.
I was not on that phone call. I was getting it after the facts. But the question was, what if we have 31? It was like, absolutely no exceptions. This is the ruling. This is what we've decided.
Well, I think what we need to do then is.
Find out why.
Yeah, we need to find out why. Why, if it has 70.
That's why I'm here.
Well, and especially from the standpoint, I could understand if it was some sort of a COVID thing, but that would be on you guys with your group, if they're comfortable coming more than whatever people, even with COVID. So I mean, that's, we have to find out. We don't know the answer to
Okay,
that.
well, that's why I'm here, because I think In fact, when we had this conversation with some of the people involved there, because we're all just pulling our hair out, we barely are, and we look and we think, here's a new librarian who has no clue how we feel about this library. We feel very possessive. We worked very hard to get that damn library built. And it was hard because people did not want to spend the money.
Right.
So this perk of having this community room was a big deal. It's still a big deal. We're still here and we still want to use it. So for her not to realize that, I mean, I just don't know.
We just have to figure out the rationale.
Exactly. So there you have it. And apparently, I mean, there's no information on it. I tried to actually check the minutes of their meetings to see if I could figure out what conversation ensued, but minutes come late. So the last minutes posted on the library site is for the meeting in January. So I don't have any answers. I don't have the kind of patience to talk to someone that I think is ridiculous and maybe a little capricious. I don't have the patience to sit there and talk. I'm in tax season. I'm too busy. But anyway, I'm just telling you that's a problem.
Well, it'll be easy to check.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, I think,
Be my guest, because
Yeah.
there's a couple of groups that I'm involved with. We've been meeting there once a month for the last, how many years is the library there? We've been there once a month.
for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know a lot of groups that are scheduled to be there,
Exactly.
and I've been there with many, and I don't expect that would change at all. Everyone understands that this town needs more meeting rooms.
Right.
The town board has spoken about that many times and try to find some creative solutions to that. And I'm sure that, speaking with a librarian, I know that she knows that. So it'll be interesting to find out why, because I don't think that is sort of I don't think she made it up. It would be interesting to know.
Well, it's just totally arbitrary. And the fact that her
we'll
emphasis
see.
was the board has agreed, and we all agreed that 30 is the number. Well, all right, fine, but
I
town
can't
building,
I
find
would say
it.
by
I
tomorrow
just
we'll have
can't
an
buy it.
answer.
Yeah, we'll look into it for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm going to leave you guys. I know you're going to miss me.
Oh.
You're leaving
Can I go
now?
with you?
Oh, you're leaving now?
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
If somebody trying to join via Zoom, should I let them in, maybe public comment?
Sure.
Okay. Tell them a microphone.
Yeah, we just had someone joining on Zoom. Is anybody here for public comment?
Hi, this is actually Jennifer Daddio, the library director.
Oh, hi,
There we
Jennifer.
go.
Perfect timing.
Hi, how are you? I'm glad that I'm here. I would like to respond to, I didn't get her name, the woman who was just speaking.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you'd like to
Yeah.
respond, go right ahead.
I would like to, thank you. I did speak with someone from the Women's Club a couple of weeks ago, and what I had explained was that, and I've said this all along since I've arrived over a year ago, that we were moving forward with baby steps. And initially, we weren't allowing more than groups of 10 or 12 people at a time to use any room in the library. And so the beginning of April, we decided to move that number to 30.
And Jennifer, just to interrupt, that was because of COVID? Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's, all of this is because of COVID.
Right.
With the idea that hopefully things will still keep going in the direction that we're seeing right now, and that in May we would increase that number, and then in June we would increase that number again. We didn't want to take huge leaps and then to have to pull back. And when I did explain to the person from the Women's Club that I was speaking with that we would not allow more than 30 people at a time, she did ask, could there be 31 or 32? And I said, if I make an exception for you, we have to make an exception for everyone. And the person that I spoke with was actually quite happy with everything that I said to her. And I said, listen, I'm happy to deliver good news because we're in the business of saying yes. We're not in the business of saying no to people. And I hate saying no to people, but I'm trying to do my best because we still have pockets of the population that are unvaccinated. We have children that are unvaccinated that are in that building. You know, it's a very strange fine line we're all trying to walk. And I'm not trying to prevent any community member from using any part of the library. That would go against everything I stand for. But I also would like to address the comment about this is the community room. It's been my understanding, and I could possibly be completely wrong about this. It's been my understanding since I arrived that is the library program room. And so what I have said to the staff is that library programs should take priority over any outside group using that meeting room. So I've asked when people book the room, if they want to book it long-term, that they not book it more than 3 months out. Because if at some point a librarian or a library staffer wants to have a program in that room, I want them to be able to have all options available to them. Now, if I'm mistaken, and that to the town is considered a community room and not a program room, then I would love some clarification on that, because then I would know what to tell the staff moving forward. Because in the library, we already have a tremendous amount of competition between the adult department, the children's department, and the young adult department, with the struggles of not having enough programming space. So this part about it being not part of the library and being a community room, as I said, is the first I'm hearing about this, and I would love to get some clarification around that.
So Jennifer, so first off, you're saying that the limits are temporary, right?
Absolutely.
What are other libraries doing right now with regards to space?
Yeah, they're all, I mean, our neighboring libraries are doing similar things. They're opening up slowly. I have colleagues in other libraries that are not doing any in-house programming. I have some that are, some are doing a little bit of in-house programming. Everybody's kind of all over the place where their comfort levels are.
Okay, well, okay. And then with regards to the program room, it just seems like you're introducing structure where there wasn't. And so that's what maybe we're responding to.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I view it. But again, if I'm wrong about what the parameters are for use in the program room, I really do want to know, because I don't want to make a mistake with anybody moving forward.
I don't think you're wrong. I mean, again, I think the library programs would take precedent. And I don't think she was necessarily complaining about that. She was complaining more about the number, because a lot of the community, when it's used as a quote community room unquote, usually they're after hours when the library is closed, and different organizations use it. I agree that right of first refusal comes to a library program versus an outside program. And again, if the numbers increase, we probably won't be here having this conversation, because my guess is that they have more than 30 members in their group and more than 30 people show up. So once we get to a number that's above the number they have in their group, the complaints will disappear. But no, unless somebody disagrees, I mean, the library program should come first.
Yeah, otherwise, I mean, the scheduling of it goes through the library. So
right.
If it weren't under the purview of the library, someone else would be scheduling it. So it is, but it serves a dual function. It is library programs, and it's available to community groups, particularly after library hours at night, for meetings that this town needs. But it would be similar to the schools have gyms, and the gyms are used for school programs first. And when they're not, they are available for recreation programs, et cetera. So they serve a dual purpose. That's true in any town. And the program room is sort of a community room, but it still serves a dual purpose. But yeah, I think that we all are in agreement that programs will come first.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I am sorry to hear that somebody's unhappy. I mean, I understand the frustration. And we are doing our best to try to get there. We're just trying to do it in the best way we know how.
So your opinion, you think that, come May 1st, the number might increase, and then June 1st, it might increase a little bit more?
Yeah, that's
right.
the plan. Yeah.
Well, great.
Thank you for calling.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, and I'm going to be available to speak if, when we get to things regarding the library in a few minutes. So I don't know if you want me to hold on, or if you want me to just call back, or.
You can stay on.
You can stay on. That'd probably be easier.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you. Is anybody else here for public comment? Anybody else on the line? No. So I'd like to make a motion to close public comment then.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about, so we talked a little bit about COVID just a few minutes ago. And so let me give you an update on that. There are a total of 89 cases here in Somers, and there are 10 new cases. All of Westchester has 2,873 cases in Westchester County. I'd like to bring up Dave Smith, our planning consultant, to talk a little bit here about MS4 presentation. So Dave, you want to come on up?
Now, Dave, I have to admit.
Yes, sir.
Someone asked me a question yesterday. So MS4 stands for what? I went municipal something septic something.
Go to the second slide, please.
Stormwater, maybe?
Municipal separate
Separate
sewer.
stormwater system. Right.
I had the same question you
Yeah.
did. I was approached by Steve Warfel maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he goes, Dave, do you know anything about MS4? And I said, "Well, a little bit. I kind of remember what the acronyms are." And he goes, "Well, Tag, you're it. You're in charge of preparing." Yeah, thank you. You're in charge of preparing the town's MS4 report.
Which is required by law.
It is required by law, yes. And that's part of the reason that we're going through the presentation tonight. There is a report, a draft of which has been prepared. I believe it's available online and ultimately will be submitted to New York State.
And the PowerPoint will be online as well, correct, Rob?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the PowerPoint will be included with the report to New York State DEC as part of the kind of the public outreach component of the report. But I wanted to start off, first of all, by recognizing several people within the town who helped me prepare. This is the first time that I prepared an MS4 report. That's one of the pleasures of being in the planning business, is that you at some point you're approached to try new things, prepare new things on behalf of your clients. So with that, I'd just like to recognize quickly Steve Warfel, Wendy Getting, Marion Ajar, Catherine DeSisto, Nick DeVito from the Highway, Tammy Saba, and Adam Smith. And if I've forgotten anybody, I apologize, but all those people help contribute updates to and information for this report. And I could not have prepared it without their help and their assistance. So with that, I will quickly go through a summary of the report. As noted, the MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. And if you look outside the window and with the tonight's weather conditions, I think we can all understand why this is an important component. And we'll get to some of the slides as to why water is such an important component to the town of Somers. But the permit is required under the Clean Water Act. It's issued by New York State DEC, Department of Environmental Conservation. And it's intended to reduce the amount of pollutants carried by stormwater, because as you know, stormwater hits the ground, and then if it hits impervious like pavement, it may carry some of the residue that's on the pavement off into the catchment system. And so part of the goal here is to improve water quality and the recreational use of your waterways. So if we go to the next, this slide right here, which briefly describes Somers hydrology. The town has 4 watershed basins within New York City watershed, the Amawalk, the New Croton, Croton Falls, and Muscoot. You have 12 different sub-watersheds, approximately 66 stream miles, and then 3 planned lake communities. So the next slide just shows the town of Somers and its relationship to the east of Hudson watershed boundary. And again, all of these communities and all of New York State communities need to provide an MS4 report. But again, this points out that Somers is within a very critical piece of the water distribution system for the lower Hudson Valley and the metropolitan area. And then I just included a couple of slides. We'll go quickly through these. Thank you. This is the Amawalk Reservoir. The next slide is the Muscoot. And then the next slide is the 3 lake communities that were referenced earlier. So again, I think it's from a planning standpoint, it's important to understand the importance of clean water and how the community is attempting to address these issues as they move forward. So the next slide, I'll quickly go through these. These are some of the technical details, some of which I needed to check in with Steve Wolfel on. But there are different areas or different water quality concerns in each of the different watersheds and water bodies that were referenced earlier. Some of the references include the TSS stands for total suspended solids. So that's, for instance, if you've sanded your roads during the winter season and that gets washed away into the catch basins, and then ultimately it may end up into some of the water bodies. So there's a whole system for collecting and treating and capturing those total suspended solids before they get into the water bodies. There are phosphorus restrictions on the areas within the Croton watershed, and the TMDL acronym is a total maximum daily load. So that's part of the criteria that is being evaluated as part of the MS4 component and report. The state notes that there are priority water bodies that are listed due to certain conditions, and there are also impacted waters listed under New York State DEC 303D, including Lake Shunarock, Lake Lincolndale, and the Muskrat River. So the next slide goes through some of the program requirements that are in place and have been conducted as part of the town's approach to stormwater management, including public education and outreach. And there's information, as we noted earlier, on the town's website for the public to understand the impacts of stormwater and stormwater management. There's public participation and involvement. The town employees, many of them who deal with these issues, particularly with the highway department, are trained or have some background in illicit discharge detection and elimination. That's the IDDE. Construction site runoff control, post-construction runoff control. Those are things that Steve Wolf from the engineering department coordinates. And then there's also pollution prevention and good housekeeping, which are part of the public outreach component on the town's website. Next slide. So there are, again, continuing with the public education and outreach. During the construction process, Mr. Wolfel is out there coordinating with contractors. And in addition, there are other target audiences, including residential homeowners, contractors, developers, the general public. And many of these audiences include reactions or coordination when there's a planning board meeting, specifically because that's when a lot of these topics come up as part of the site plan review process. Next slide. I'm just going to quickly go through the balance of the presentation here, but some of the strategies that were implemented prior to this have been somewhat put on hold because of COVID and due to the limitations on training and access. But there have been TV spots and cable access, and the materials are available. Again, the link to the site is located on the screen as part of the presentation. So there's materials available on the town website. Next slide. So as part of the site plan review process, applicants are encouraged to include low impact development and site design elements as part of the site plan review process.
David, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir. Of course, sir.
So these are applications coming in for new building or developments.
Yeah.
That you referred to here.
Yeah, or subdivision.
And it said that it is recommended or it's required, and who oversees that? Is it your department? Is it engineering? How do we know that other than say, hey, you should do this?
Yeah.
Are you doing it?
It's part of the both the site plan and the subdivision review process.
Would that be under secret?
That secret is part of that. But when you go into the code, there are specific references to stormwater management and the use of best management practices. So, for instance, when Woodard and Curran, who does the site plan reviews, when they're reviewing an application, they get into specific detail about the design of the stormwater management system, implementing certain things like bioswales, which is a more, bless you, a more natural creation of a stormwater management system rather than simply just a catch basin.
So since these are generally known and they come out of the state recommendations, I would guess, is that ever a problem, or is it just like that's an automatic thing? Just out of curiosity.
No, it's kind of like an automatic. The applicants understand that they need to respond to these types of issues. And Wood and Kern is very thorough in their reviews, and they make sure that applicants understand that this is an important issue and they need to incorporate these types of techniques as part of the ongoing site plan review process.
Okay, and so this is pretty strict, not something like, well, it's there, but don't worry about it. It's
it's not like
we must follow this.
Yes, you have to follow it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's critical that these types of measures be implemented as part of the site design. So that's part of Wood and Kern's charge, is to make sure that applicants understand that and that they're incorporated as part of the site design.
Thanks.
Okay. So staying on this slide, so strategies implemented. There have been several cleanup events. There were 5 to 10-day totals, and I've got one of the slides that provides a summary on that. There's a community hotline that's available, community meetings, and tonight's constitutes one of the community meetings to let the public know. There are public hearings, again, when there are site plan public hearings. That information is also provided to the public, and then annual report posting on the web, which is provided already, but then will be provided throughout the coming year. And then the next slide just is an example of some of the outreach efforts that the town of Somers has done in the past by, as an example, a litter cleanup weekend. And if we go to the next slide, just evaluating and measuring progress, activities like that, with the 10 litter cleanup days, there were 55 bags of garbage collected during the cleanup events sponsored throughout town. And then also as part of that, there's education of contractors. And this is particularly with Steve Woelfel's coordination with the ongoing efforts on construction sites. And then the next slide is kind of, again, strategies implemented. There are almost approximately 564 outfalls, which have been mapped. Of those, 256 were dry weather screened. So in other words, not during inclement weather, but when it's good weather, they went out and they evaluated some of these outfalls. And if there was a water condition there where there shouldn't have been, that raises a flag that maybe there's somebody who's discharging into an outfall that shouldn't be. So that's a constant process that the town does. And based on my conversation with Mr. Woelfer, there were no illicit discharges found within the past year. The next slide, again, stormwater watershed mapping has been completed. Information is available via GIS. Significant number of the staff in relevant positions have received the illicit discharge detection and elimination training. In addition, the town has developed and adopted a septic system notification and maintenance and repair law. This is Chapter 117 in the town code. So again, that's helping to strengthen the process and help protect the environment.
Can I ask you another question?
Of course.
50% of staff, is that something we're trying to get to 100%, or the people who need to know are knowing?
I think that's the people who need to know. No, I don't know if there's a metric where you need to have more than that. Yeah, but I can certainly find out from.
I mean, if we need to train more, obviously we train more.
Yeah, and I think part of the issue too is that with COVID, some of the training opportunities have been limited. And now that those restrictions are starting to lift, that the town could then begin to upgrade the number of employees or train specifically.
So David, these are continuing strategies. I mean, some of this has been in our business practice as a town, correct? Not necessarily this year.
Correct. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yep. And lastly, just as a metric, the number of septic systems cleaned and inspected for the 2021 calendar year was approximately 1,166. And again, we don't have an exact number. We've reached out to Westchester County, who keeps those records, but that's the best estimate that we have at this point.
And is there a specific report? I guess you're touching this, a specific reporting requirement that you submit, you know, numbers around these activities to some regulatory body?
Yes, those numbers get reflected in the MS4 annual report,
Okay.
the draft of which has been prepared and circulated. So that all those numbers and the information that we're presenting tonight is reflected in the MS4 report.
So does the MS4 give us the sort of the phosphorus targets that we have? Do they come from?
I don't know the exact answer to that. I'm
Okay.
assuming that, like, for instance, the phosphorus targets are in some way already categorized.
I mean, it's east of Hudson, I think, as well.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
So just wrapping up quickly, if we go to construction, post-construction control. So part of strategies, there's a process where applicants who come in for a subdivision or a site plan need to prepare a stormwater pollution prevention plan. This is part of the planning board review process. And over the past calendar year, there were 11 of these, what they call a SWIP, stormwater pollution prevention plan, that were reviewed. And there were procedures to receive public comments in place for these activities. These are the projects that required a review. So there are actually 5 active construction projects which disturb more than 1 acre in town, which require these SWIPs. The public does have access to this information. It's provided on the town's website, particularly through the planning board website portion of the town site. Stormwater management control also includes, as I think I mentioned, best management practices to continue to be a focus regarding project approval. Some of the other additional strategies, I think we can advance the presentation a little bit. There were 6 infiltration basins, 4 open channels, 2 ponds, and 10 other practices inspected and maintained by the town. 256 area catch basins inventoried, inspected, and maintained. The local laws, comprehensive planning, zoning, and planning board review procedures have been used to implement low impact development and better site design elements. Somers, I think somebody had mentioned that Somers is a member of the Croton-Kensico Watershed Intermunicipal Coalition, which has developed a 5-year regional stormwater retrofit program that's been approved by New York State DUC. So, and lastly, just to finish up, reporting procedures for municipal departments responsible for good housekeeping has been altered to ensure the maintenance of town facilities and maintenance activities are accounted for. So there's a whole record keeping process that gets quantified, and that's used as part of the preparation of this report.
Go back to, on that slide, it's at the bottom, it says highway department is
Yeah.
computerized, but it's more efficient data entry per the field. So is that sort of a recommendation that we get some sort of technology that they can do that?
Yes, that was, yes.
But don't they have that? Wasn't that in this year's budget where they?
Probably wouldn't know that. No, I mean, I don't think he.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they have it because they all go out with the iPads, so they have to go back to
Well, the iPad they use for that they located all of like the infrastructure in town. I'm not sure if they've moved it to this yet.
Because they can, do that to be more efficient.
Yeah,
In
Yeah,
a
when they're
power
out in the-
outage, or they need to
Right.
move stuff, so they don't have to go back to
catch
the.
basins are all there, and
Right.
so
So-
Nick can create work orders based off of that. But I
Yeah.
again,
So,
I don't know if he does.
Well, that would be something though to follow up, because I think the technology is there, and it's one of the
Yes.
things that Nick asked for appropriately, the town has supported and funded. So it would seem to me like they would be able to do this.
okay, and was that something that's in this year's budget?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be reflected in next year's report that they would actually have the
technology.
Okay,
technology.
We may just want to make a note of that for next
Right.
year.
Yeah,
Make sure we're
so
doing it.
to be,
Then we just would need, well, we could check with Nick.
We'll check. I'll check.
Yeah.
I'll check on that.
okay. And then just, it follows up and finalizes the strategies implemented under education programs, deliverables to the county, conveyance systems have been mapped, programs to track on-site wastewater treatment system been inspected and maintained. There's post-construction programming in place. This is for construction activities. And along with some retrofitting programs administered by the East of Hudson. So that concludes my presentation of MS4. I appreciate your patience and just going through this.
Nice job for your first
First
one.
time.
It's
Nice
not so
job.
bad,
Look forward to
right?
next year even more.
Yeah, I'll be a seasoned professional by next year. Yeah.
I have one follow-up question I
Sure.
want to ask. So you mentioned before it's raining tonight, cats and
Yeah.
dogs, and obviously it comes on the roads, washes off, and with oil and other things washes into the stormwater, and that's why it's important to protect before it gets in reservoirs that people drink from. So in the planning, and we have said that there's a change in zoning because as some people have a house, let's say they have pervious pavement on their driveway,
Right.
that means less runoff, and that affected zoning. So my question is this something in the world of planners, in order to protect the stormwater runoff into reservoirs, that it's best practice wherever possible to put in pervious pavement, as we have out here in the townhouse or at Reese Park, so that the water goes through and doesn't run off?
That's one of the best management practices. Yes, is the pervious pavement. For an individual homeowner, for an individual residential site, the site plan requirements require, again, based on the stormwater management approach, that they collect any stormwater from additional impervious surface that's introduced to the site and provide a kind of a recharge area on site to accommodate that stormwater. So it's not washing off down the driveway onto the local road system and into the storm system.
That's
So-
in new construction.
New construction, correct.
And do some is that a requirement?
Almost every municipality that I can think of that I've worked in the recent past has that as a requirement for any new projects.
And a delicate question, do we?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. That's
All right.
that's one of the that's part of the kind of what Woodard and Curran is doing when they evaluate
Okay.
a site plan, is saying, all right, well, you're interested, and it could be something as simple as the golf course up at in Lincolndale. I forget the name.
At Lincoln Hall.
Lincoln Hall. Yeah, Lincoln Hall. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
Engel.
anyway, and with this, they proposed a patio for outdoor dining. And as part of this, and they had to come before the planning board for site plan review. But as part of that, they said, all right, well, now you're introducing all this additional impervious surface. You need to capture that and take care of it on site, even something as small as a patio on a very large site. So that's part of the process that the planning board and the town goes through to responding to some of these issues with respect to stormwater.
And as I understand, for anyone who's watching, says, well, are all the roads pervious? The answer to that is no, because it simply wouldn't last at
Right.
this point, at least.
Yeah.
It just would break up because of the weight and the use of
That-
vehicles on it.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you have this
Expensive.
kind of pervious pavement out here, this is a whole level different intensity of
Right.
use, and you can afford to have that, that type of pavement here
Yeah.
outside. But for road use, no, it doesn't make sense.
Too much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dave. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good. Thank you. Have a good night.
So we're going to move on to item number 3, acknowledge completion and receipt of the Town Justice Court audit by our certified public accountant, PKF O'Connor Davies LLP, in accordance with section 2019-A of the Uniform Justice Court Act for the year ending December 31st, 2021. Patty, let's just move that to the consensus agenda for April 21st. Number 4, authorize the supervisor to execute the change order for the janitorial cleaning service to include the townhouse and annex buildings with Kencal Maintenance Corporation in the amount of $870 per month. And that's a lot better than the last one we saw before. So,
What we talked about last time.
yep. So motion to execute. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright. Number 5, request permission to approve and execute the proposal for the inspection and cleaning sediment removal of the Ross Drive 1.45 million gallon water storage tank with Underwater Solutions, Inc. in the amount of $3,890 per memo dated March 24th, 2022 from Adam Smith, Superintendent of Water and Sewer. I'd like to just move that to the consensus agenda as well for the April 21st.
Yep.
Number 6, authorize the solicitation of requests for proposal for the replacement of the carpet in the Somers Library Children's Room with carpet tiles per memo dated March 31st, 2022 from Thomas J. Tuma Jr., Building Inspector. Now, I think, Jennifer, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Did you have to I'll let you make a comment on that if you would like.
Sure. It's the carpeting in the children's room is very old. It's buckling, it's ripped, it's a liability issue. It's needed to be replaced for quite some time now. So that's
Okay.
why we're requesting this. Yeah.
No
Great.
worries.
Is there a reason it says carpet tiles rather than carpet, Jennifer? Is that something specific to children's reading rooms?
No, I think it's just kind of the wave of the future now. You know, carpet tiles are much easier to replace than an entire length of carpeting.
It spills his juice, you just have to replace one tile
Tile.
versus.
All right.
Correct.
So
So,
it's cost effective.
Based on that, I'd like to make a motion to solicit the request for a proposal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jeez.
Authorize the solicitation for request for proposal for the E-rate application being submitted to update some of the wiring in the Somers Library Building per memo dated March 31st, 2022 from Thomas J. Tuma Jr., Building Inspector. I'd like to make a motion to solicit the request for proposal.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Nothing for Parks and Rec tonight. Financials, there's nothing tonight. Highway, there is nothing. Personnel, we do have some current vacancies I'd like to talk about. Affordable Housing Board, 1 2-year term ending 7/11/2022. The Assessment Board of Review, 1 5-year term ending 9/30/2023. Parks and Rec Board, 2 3-year terms ending 3/9/2025. Partners in Prevention, 2 3-year terms ending 12/31/2022. And again, Partners in Prevention, 2 3-year terms ending 12/31/2023. We also have some upcoming vacancies, terms expiring in 2022. Affordable Housing Board, 2 2-year terms ending 7/11/2022. And then 3, authorize appointment of Nicholas Pasolidis to the Somers Partners in Prevention Committee to fill an unexpired 3-year term ending December 31st, 2023. Motion to appoint.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Thank you.
H, planning and engineering, 1 for review and comment. A, wetland and water course protection permit application from the DEC copper sulfate treatment areas. Anybody have any comments?
No.
No comments? Okay. Police, no additional business, and proposed consensus agenda, except the following performance bond per March 15th, 2022 memo from Stephen Warfel, Engineering Department at 2,500 performance bond, 10 Adson Way, November issued, October 19th, 2021. And that is it. Some calendar events coming up here. Our next town board regular meeting will be on April 21st. Then we have,
Not next week.
not next week,
Skipping a week,
all right?
bye week.
And then again, May 5th is our town board work session. May 12th is our town board regular meeting. The June 2nd town board work session, and June 9th is our town board regular meeting. I have a few announcements I'd just like to read over here. Somers Land Trust presents a family-friendly nature walk with local naturalist Jim Norgen. And that will be Saturday, April 9th, 2022 at 2:30, Yellowtail at Angle 5 Preserve, Route 139. Enter the preserve at Route 139 and follow the road to the upper parking lot. Okay. Friends of Lassen Park and Auditorium presents the 100-acre wood exhibit, Forest and Friends, open Saturday, April 9th, 2022 at Lassen Park. And then Lassen Park Spring Walking Tour. We had that on Sunday, April 10th, 2022, and that's from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Westchester County Mobile Shredder is coming to Somers. That is Tuesday, April 19th. And that is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Reese Park. And hold the date. Make Somers Beautiful Litter Cleanup Weekend. That's Saturday, April 23rd and Sunday, April 24th. Supplies will be provided at the town hall, the Elephant Hotel. Anybody else?
Yeah, 2 things.
Yeah.
One is we have the Easter egg hunt this weekend. I believe it's 9:00. I'll check on our
Yeah.
website.
Yeah,
I think it's 9:00.
all of these things are on our website as well. All these announcements, so you can see that. And I think the Somers Primrose PTA is having a scavenger hunt for next week or so for the break. So check the Somers PTA, Primrose PTA website for that, for more details.
Yep, and I get it. It's 9 a.m., rain or shine. I've actually
Given the
forgotten
local
to-
weather,
That's happening.
recent weather,
That's actually
rain.
forgotten to put there.
probably be nice.
Got my second thing.
Patty, anything from you?
I have not.
No? Anybody else?
Just a very happy Easter, happy Passover to all of Somers.
Yep.
I did want to mention one thing. It's in the paper today about, it's not a happy thing. The United Nations 5 years ago was empowered a part of the United Nations to give a climate report on the earth. They just came out with the last of their reports. It's in the paper today. I was just reading it this morning, which is dire. And it's more dire than it had been, which had been dire. Now it's more dire. And that, for 20 years, you hear about tipping point, and they go, well, now we're tipping. And I would just say to people, read it. Each one of us individually cannot solve the problem, but obviously it's collectively among governments, among other people. One of the really, really dire predictions, though, is that the Amazon rainforest, which sucks up more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than anywhere else on Earth, according to this, could one day be a savanna, which would then soak up that carbon dioxide. So not a happy topic, no doubt, but an important one. So whatever any individual can do, or whatever the town can do, state governments, United Nations, I think that we should do. 30 years from now, they're going to look back and say, what did you do? And I hope that we can all answer it saying we did as well as we could do.
We want to congratulate New York State on actually getting a budget
Yes.
today. And we want to also congratulate the newest Supreme Court Justice who was voted in earlier today as well.
Yep. Good Katanji Jackson, Katanji Jackson Brown. Yes.
Anybody else? Anything? So I'd like to close tonight's meeting for our work session on Thursday, April 7th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Everything in my history.